Hey there, everybody. Chad here. Wanted to do a quick video for you today because you're probably not aware that today is National Notebook Day. And if you have read any of my postings, some of the articles, and the videos that I put up on communicatoraccelerator.com, if you've been one of my coaching clients, you're very familiar with the concept of the journal or the notebook. This is a tool that I really cannot speak highly enough. It has so many advantages. And one of the biggest ones is it helps us bring some discipline and format to how we think. We sit down and we look at, what we're thinking. We write stuff down and does it make sense to us? Do we need to change something? Do we go with that? And it helps us prepare to be better communicators. And that's really its greatest tool because it helps us to form the thoughts, to bring some discipline to what we're thinking about, to organize it, to discover new perspectives, new information that we want to share. And this is really one of the biggest advantages of using a journal. And they come in all kinds of shapes and sizes. I get mine monogrammed. I buy mine from Electron 1917. There's some information on that in the show notes. I don't get a penny from them, no endorsement, no consideration, nothing like that. This is just a product that I've been using for very long. This is the same one that I provided to my clients as well. And they come in different, some of them are for like guiding you through change and stuff like that. In addition to being, just a regular notebook, and you get them in different sizes, whatever you want to use. So if you've been in a meeting with me or seen me around, there's a good chance you've seen me pull this out. Now, there's a couple of other really practical advantages to using a journal, to using a notebook. And the first one is it's private. It's yours. It's not going into the cloud. It's not going online. It can't be subject to a security breach that you may never know about. Your information could potentially be compromised, depending on where it's hosted and stuff like that. It's yours. As long as you have it with you, you know where it is. No one else gets to read this that you don't want to. So that is one advantage. It encourages you to think more freely, to write stuff down that maybe you wouldn't if you are concerned about prying eyes or someone that shouldn't have that information getting a hold of it. So privacy is a huge advantage to it. The second one is that it's persistent. This isn't dependent on power. It isn't dependent on a network, on the internet, nothing like that. It's always on. All you gotta do is open it up and write down your thoughts. There are times when you might have an idea. You might have something that you want to share with someone, something you need to tell someone. By the time you open up your device and you open up the app and you start tapping away or maybe dictating it, it's gone. It also depends on the situation you're in. If you're traveling, this is what I typically do on a plane. I pull out and I work in my journal because I can do it from the time that I sit down in my seat. I don't have to worry about stowing it. If I'm on a longer flight, I might pull out my laptop later. But for a relatively short flight, this is what I do because for me, flights are a really good time for me to gather my thoughts and write down those thoughts and think about things. But it's always going to persist. I mean, you have to lose a notebook or get it destroyed. And you're probably going to know if one of those two things happen versus if you're using an online, notebook service, they could potentially go out of business or they could raise prices. There's a number of things that can happen that might deny you access to your information. So it's something to keep in mind of is that you have a private collection of your thoughts and also that it's persistent. It's not dependent on anybody else doing something for you. Now, is it as accessible or searchable as some online? No, and I do use online resources, especially for work-related stuff where I need to look up information very quickly, but it almost always comes from here first. So this is kind of old school backup in a way. So there is a place for digital notebooks and digital note taking. I'm not saying that there isn't, but there's pros and cons and also advantages and disadvantages to when you use them and when you don't. But this is private, it's persistent, it's always on. It's not depending on power, it's not depending on a network. And so that brings a lot of advantages to your situation. Also, if you're in a meeting, which you've seen me do this, if you've ever been in a meeting with me or even online in Zoom, is I can take a note, I can jot down something, and I'm not breaking that connection with you. I'm still looking at you, I'm still in the moment. Versus if I break out my phone, I'm like, and I'm typing and tapping, I can't do a dictation because I'm sitting here with you. And my attention has gone from here to here. And it's violating that conversation that we're having, that connection we're having. Versus with the notebook, it's natural. We're all used to it. And we're all used to like, note, 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 and then looking at you. I can even look up at you as I'm finishing taking a note. There's also some other tactical advantages that notebooks can bring. And I cover this in some of the courses on communicatoraccelerator.com. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. There's a free subscription in addition to the premium paid subscription levels that you can still get some really good information. But for example, one of the tactics that you can use is if you're in a conversation and you're being asked information or to make a decision, having a journal can help slow down that conversation. Because the phone does not have the same impact that the journal does. So if you're taking notes in the journal, you're looking like you're thinking, doing something, you might not be writing down something that's making sense. You're just buying time. And sometimes that 2 or 3 seconds can really be powerful because a lot of times people get themselves into trouble when they overcommit in situations or they say the wrong thing. Slow it down, take notes, write about what you're thinking, write about what's been said, write out the options, and you can use that kind of as a break. Slow down the conversation. And then at that point, you can decide, are you going to respond? Or are you going to say, well, let me think about this and we'll get back to it. Depends all the situations and the dynamics of the conversation, but it can be a really powerful tool for this because people tend to respect this much more than they do the tap, tap, tap on a phone. So hope that gives you something to think about this National Notebook Day. Like I said, I use products from Lectern 1917. When I get a journal, I always buy the pen loop, which sticks on the inside of it right here. I get their pens. I happen to look at their pens, and that goes in the loop. And I have a whole little writing system that's with me all the time. You can use any one that you use. I don't get any money from Lectern, like I said. Moleskyne's really popular. And in a pinch, anything that you can get a hold of, because you never know when you might need pen and paper, and it can happen at the most crucial and critical times. And then you have nothing to write on. At least always have a pen with you. You can write on something, find something to write with, write on your hand if you have to, but always have a pen with you, and ideally always have a journal with you as well. So happy National Notebook Day. Think about getting one if you're not using it, and enjoy the rest of your day.